It's another perfect riding day, and as an added bonus, there's no wildlife trying to kill me. So I'm leaving Menindee today and heading down through Pooncarie to the Mungo National Park. It's about 120 kilometres down to Pooncarie, and I was expecting this to be unsealed road, but to my surprise, it's all brand new, smooth sealed road. So even in Australia, you're having to travel further and further to find proper adventure. More emus. Why is it that they always want to run in the same direction as you? Doesn't look like they're killer ones today, that's a bonus. While the Darling River Road follows the river closely, it's very rare that you get to glimpse the river itself. But here, the road's quite close, so it's time for a little break. Lots of serenity right here. Straight, smooth, sealed road. Nothing to do but set the cruise control, sit back and think of England. Here's an interesting little factoid. Paddy melons are common weeds across Australia. They originated from Africa and were introduced to Australia along with the camels sometime in the mid-1800s. Sadly, the melons are poisonous. They appear following rainfall and they look and smell edible. The juice was used to treat skin infections such as ringworm and scabies. The vine's already withered on these ones, but a little further down the road, they're thriving. Oh well, that was a nice little break. Time to mount up and put a few more miles under the tyres. As you can see, the road is thick with traffic. The best technology invention ever introduced to a motorcycle is electronic cruise control. Out here on these straight roads, with nothing better to do but look at the scenery, setting the cruise control and sitting back and relaxing is just fantastic. It's so much more relaxing than continually checking your speed and holding the throttle open. And with the DCT, you could almost say the bike rides itself. Look at all these lovely green, luscious looking bushes growing by the road. Let's get up close and have a touch. Well, they're as spiky as, they're just all spikes. And when this bush dries out it ends up being a tumbleweed. Nasty, spiky things. And they're everywhere. Well, speak of the devil, here's an example right here. You can see how that they just break off from their base, and they're just a lovely round shape. I've made it to Pooncarie without being attacked by any emus this time. Pooncarie's a lovely little town right on the Darling River. It's got a shop and a pub, which is all you need. Another 25k down the road and the turn off to Mungo National Park appears. It's a dirt road from here down. By now I'm really getting the feel for the bike and the roads and how the tyres cope with the varying conditions on this unsealed road surface. So I'm finding I can relax more and more and enjoy the scenery as well as the road. Scenery, you say? What scenery? Well, it does change, and I find it really quite interesting to ride on. Just thought I'd give you a look at the road. We've got this loose sand on a really hard base, but the Africa Twin is tracking through it without any problem whatsoever. Lovely. When it comes to riding on these sorts of roads, there's the theory that you hear from gun type riders, and then there's this practice for ordinary people like myself. I find it easier to just sit down and relax on the bike. The weight of the bike tracks through, and I need to just relax my hands and let the front end just wobble a little bit. Don't try to over control. And a nice constant speed sees me being able to relax through this sort of country where the bike moves around under you. Mungo National Park's a fairly popular tourist destination, and it is school holidays at the moment, so there's a little bit of traffic coming the other way. But the roads are wide, everyone's doing the right thing, and the bit of breeze is keeping most of the dust off me. I'm right on the edge of the national park, and this is the closest I can go with the drone. And if you've got really good eyesight, you'll be able to see the famous white dune of Mungo National Park. I've arrived. I have been here twice before, but a long time ago, and I think the place has been developed a lot since then as far as tourism is concerned. Mungo used to be a large sheep station before it was sold and taken over by the national parks. This is a good way to avoid the summer heat. Dig underground. The old shearing shed is still in pretty good condition. Coming up to the visitor centre now, and this is another example of how things were built back in the day. None of this stuff was here last time I came through, and I found that I had 4G reception right here, so I was able to catch up on a few more text messages and a couple of phone calls. They have a limited amount of accommodation here, but it's very expensive, and there's no shop, no food or drink or entertainment here. As Mungo is famous for its long white sandhill that borders one side of a huge dry lake, there is a road that sort of winds around in a big loop with a couple of things to see. So I haven't done that loop before, so let's go and have a look. The sat-nav shows me riding through water here, and of course it's completely dry. Well, we're at the main tourist attraction, which is comically called the Wall of China. In the old days, you used to be able to ride all the way up to there, but of course they've blocked the road off, so you have to walk. So let's see how my boots do walking. Unlike the famous song, my boots aren't made for walking, but they're not too bad. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Quite underwhelming. And you'd be right. It looks a little steeper and better in real life, but not a lot. Well, that wasn't worth the walk. You can't get anywhere near the sand. Unauthorised persons can't enter. Typical national park. Not exactly for the people. But if you're willing to pay, of course you're allowed to enter and walk all over the dunes. As you may be aware, some idiot left his sleeping mat at home, and I'm too tight to buy another sleeping mat that I'm never going to use again, just for a couple of extra days camping. So I'm going to pub it all the way home, and I'm booked into Poon Carey pub tonight. So I'm backtracking after this visit to Mungo. The road's been good.
and the bike's been handling it really well. Temperature is about 27 degrees at the moment, which is pretty warm when you're stopped, but it's okay when you're riding. For lunch today, I've got some delicious snack wraps, a nut bar, a chili flavoured sausage, and some snakes to go with my water. What a treat. As my mother would say, very tasty.
Right, lunch is over and done with. Let's do this loop, so I can be thrilled and amazed at the sights.
At least in this viewing platform you can get a bit closer to what's going on. Hello again, I'm stalking you.
From that viewing area, the road is one way, so once you're on it, you have to keep going all the way around. And I didn't take any note of how long the road was, and it ended up being about 35 kilometres of soft sand. Oh well. Good for those who like that sort of thing, but I could take it or leave it. Anyway, I'm out of the worst of it and heading back towards the visitor centre. That's it for the sightseeing at Mungo. It's back to Pooncarie for the night. And as you can probably gather, I was pretty underwhelmed with the visit. Unless you're passing through, I wouldn't bother stopping. I enjoyed the ride, so it wasn't a complete failure. Riding back, these were the only other bikes I saw on my trip. Back at Pooncarie. It's a lovely afternoon and they've got a nice green park here on the river. It's hard to believe that in the old days the paddle steamers came all the way up from Wentworth on the Murray River, all the way up to Burke on this river. This is me for the night. But no internet or phone reception here.
This is what you get for $50 at the Pooncarie Hotel, which is fine because it's got an air conditioner and it's clean and there's enough room for all my junk.
So a quiet afternoon and evening was spent contemplating my navel. I start heading home today. I've got another 300 kilometres of dirt, and then 800 kilometres of sealed road before I get home. Riding with company is good, but there's something special about riding alone.